the webinar. Yeah, here we go. So that we can also share it with you later after the session. So here, I mean, we're very excited because we have Monica with us, and Monica is an expert in branding for e-commerce businesses. She's helped a lot of small, medium, and big-sized businesses in their business and brand strategy. And she will guide you today with some examples and some exercises as well, so that it's also interactive. We share knowledge. And of course, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. We can also have some time at the end to have a brief chat and unmute yourselves so that, you know, we can have more like a conversation tone rather than just a webinar. And yeah, so thanks a lot, everyone, for joining. And now I give the floor to Monica, who will explain more what we're gonna see today, and then she will dive deep into the session.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all. Is anyone logging in new? Just, add in the chat, introduce yourself and where you're from. I'm just going to first share the screen and make sure all of you can see it. Can everyone see this screen?
Yeah, it works.
Perfect. Okay. Great. So throughout, if there are questions, just pop them in the chat. I'll try and stop once in a while. Otherwise, Christy will also help me read them out. I'm going to have some questions for all of you throughout the presentation as well. So be ready to answer them in the chat. And we're going to definitely be doing a breakout on one of the exercises, something that I hope that you'll be able to take forward in the business right away. So I'm just going to get started with something.
Yeah, there it goes.
Yes.
Yeah,
great. Okay, so today we are talking about the 4 building blocks of an irresistible e-commerce brand. So the goal today is to build a business that both you and your customers love. And I'm going to be talking about this some more, why I think this is really important. But today specifically, we will talk about the 3 phases of your product business 180, what an irresistible e-commerce brand is and why it's important, the 4 building blocks. And I'm going to have 2 case studies of actual online store owners who worked with me through this to bring it to life, and some resources for you at the end, which you can download and take forward if you want to continue with it. And definitely, like I said, we're going to do a breakout session in between so that you can actually use this in your businesses. So just to start and show you where it all fits in the work that we're doing. So we have the 3 pillars of your product business 180. That's what it's actually about, inspiring your audience to take action. And there are 3 pillars that I have. Answer why. Should I buy from you? Your customer should know that. You want to keep bringing your customer back again and again. And you want to show up consistently and intentionally towards those goals. So what we're actually working on today is this first pillar. And that's all about laying the foundation, that irresistible e-commerce brand. It's all about nailing your positioning and consists of 4 building blocks, which is what I'm going to walk you through today. So building an irresistible e-commerce brand has helped some of my clients, and why it's important is to create focusing on the right things, leading some people to finally get to some of the best months ever. But it's about not trying to be everything to everyone and really knowing what you need to do in your business. As many of us are small business owners, we don't have large teams and tons of people to do things for us. So you really need to be focused and know where you're heading. Clarity, brand direction, knowing what to say and sell. I've had people feeling completely wordless, tongue-tied, and then move over to having a super clear brand direction and getting motivated again. Excited about their business again, even in love with it. This was something I was really surprised to see happen, but this is something I've seen really come out of this. It's like people getting motivated again to really take their business forward. Like, running a business is difficult. Let's be honest. It's not always easy. There are ups and downs. And this is something that can help you to keep that motivation going. So who am I? Hey, I'm Monica. I'm here from Amsterdam in the Netherlands. I have over 16 years of experience building brands. I've worked with Fortune 500 businesses in the corporate world, fast-moving consumer goods to services across brand management, global marketing, strategy consulting. I've been working on my own for the past 6 years, and I've been hired by Google to help the premium partners on some of the exact same things that we're doing here today. And my core focus being working now with the creative and conscious product and e-commerce entrepreneurs like many of you who are out there. And I really emphasize conscious, because it's not about people trying to produce at the cheapest rates, or it's really about people who are looking also doing good with the businesses that they're putting out there. Dutch by birth, Indian by heritage. I would say global by education and choice, had an international schooling. I'm a mom of 2 girls. I love dancing and an absolute chai addict. So if you ever want to have a chat with me, never offer a coffee chat, always say chai. So, and guess what? This is something a lot of people find very hard to talk about, but I have had a business that failed even. I had an online store selling contemporary home accessories. It was designed from India. I was trying to marry my heritage, where my family's from, and together with being born here in Holland. And I wanted to bring design, contemporary design from India to the Netherlands and Europe. But guess what? It was not aligned with what I wanted. I realized what I did is I was leaving the corporate world. I was pregnant with my second child, and I was desperate to leave the corporate world. And I just jumped ahead and did something that was all about following a teenage dream that I had, without stopping and thinking if this is what I wanted to do now and if it fit the life I wanted now. I just went ahead because I thought, okay, I had an idea, let me go do it. And I ended up making a lot of standard mistakes myself as well. And what really, really, really stood out for me that time was a lot of businesses, a lot of small businesses that were actually big and small, actually failing, but no one spoke about. I would also join entrepreneurial panels. I would join discussions, see people I admired, and then one day I'd never heard about their businesses again. And I realized that people didn't speak about that. But let's be honest, an entrepreneur journey is full of ups and downs. It's not easy. And we should be talking about the successes just as much as the failures, because that's where we learn from. And at the same time, you had the Ubers, the tech businesses of the world, raising tons and tons of money, but they're not profitable. They have high valuations, and I admire them for having really disrupted the market, creating really new business models. But a lot of businesses looking up to them and trying to model that kind of marketing and sales and strategy, whereas that's not what fits. Because let's be honest, most of us want a business that allows us also to live the life we want, right? So there, I realized something needs to change. And a little more research showed me that the number one reason businesses fail is product market fit, or no market need. Simply put, it means being in a good market with a product that satisfies that market. That means your product meets real customer needs. So it's all about your customer and what they want in a way that is better than alternatives. So what makes you unique? What is different about what you do? Those are some really key components that we're going to be also talking about today. And I became obsessed with this because, let's be honest, more than 50% of businesses sometimes do not survive it to about 5 years, is I think some of the statistics. And I wanted to change that. And I said, I want to help small business, product and e-commerce businesses be part of that 50% that don't just survive, but thrive. To make it to beyond, to those 5 years and beyond, and in a healthy way. So how? We're going to build that irresistible e-commerce brand. So this is where I was talking about right up front. An irresistible e-commerce brand for me is how I translate it, is one that both you love and your customers. Now, why is that so important? Because like I showed with my example, if it's a business that you don't love and that's not in alignment with what you're doing, you often end up making standard mistakes. You often don't feel as motivated to work in it. You can get overwhelmed, you can get burned out. So you can have a business that's bringing in money, but you're just not excited. The other hand is a business and brand your audience loves. Well, if they don't love it, then well, you're not going to be making sales. So it's super important, I feel, to have a balance of both in your business. And it's also something I really build into the building blocks that we talk about. So what are the 3 key ingredients of an irresistible e-commerce brand? Now, one is empathy. Do you understand, share, and anticipate the feelings of your customers? So do you know who they are and what they want in those feelings? Captivate them. Are you able to attract your customers, bring them in, get their attention and their affection? And this is where that engagement continues with your customer. And then inspire them. Do you make them and help them feel confident that with your product, with what you offer, they are able to either solve a problem, fulfill a need, or desire in their life? Remember that, customers in any business, in any e-commerce business, says it takes more than one time for a person to come to your store for them to purchase, especially higher priced lifestyle products that are more a desire than a need. So you've got to take them through that journey and build that relationship with them, because this allows you then to build that emotional bond. And emotional bonding allows you to build a relationship with your customer beyond the product you're selling, because you sell more than just a product. And if you look at the customer journey, this is the steps your customer takes to go from awareness, from getting to know you, to actually buying from you and then keep coming back. The marketing funnel are the steps you take to guide them through that customer journey. So are you inspiring them to take that journey? And the further down than the customer journey you go, the stronger that bond is that you build. So it's a gradual process that you do to keep bringing them back to your store. So my question for some of you here, how well do you feel you're emotionally bonding with your customer? Drop it in the chat from 1, 2, not so great, 5, 6, I'm okay, I think I'm doing okay, and 9, 10, I have totally nailed it, which means you've got a strong customer base who are engaging with you, who are coming back, buying and coming back for more. So let me know in the chat, drop in a number. Where do you feel you are on this scale? Let me see.
2 we have there.
2?
Not so great.
Okay. 8, awesome, Rebecca. Chris, 1, 5, 7. Yeah, okay, so there is a mix. Well, that's really normal to see that. And it's really great to see a few 8s already coming in here as well, some more. That is fantastic. And 6, great. So this is what we're gonna show you how you can take those numbers hopefully higher by the end of this and what to focus on to do better there. Now, and why is it important? Why am I really talking about this even? I work with a lot of business owners who then are doing all the right things. They're building traffic, advertising, spending time on social media, but they're still not able to see the results sometimes. So just remember, this is a latest figure that I got, is that worldwide e-commerce will approach $5 trillion this year. And we've seen obviously a huge push because of the pandemic and a lot of people being online at home. But in this sea, you have to differentiate yourself. You really got to make sure you stand out from all those businesses that have opened and are continuing to open up. And brands perceived as having a higher positive impact on people's lives have grown brand value 2.5 times more than brands with low perceived impact. So the stronger the bond, the more impact you're showing you're having in people's lives in a positive way, the more attached they feel to you as well. And 76% of customers would rather pay for an experience than on material items. People remember experiences so much more than just the physical thing. Does it mean that products are not important? Absolutely not. But those products are actually delivering on an experience. And that's what I want you to bring forward a lot more. And this is a number I love talking about all the time. 95% of purchasing decisions are subconscious. What people say versus what they actually do think and feel. There is a contradiction there. This is actually research done by Harvard professor Gerald Saltman. And it actually shows that, we buy on feelings, we buy on emotions, but we explain using logic and rational. So sometimes when you ask people why they bought something, it can be, you'll get a list of reasons they buy and you think that those are the things. But what we're doing there is we're explaining it. We're explaining with bullet points or logic or trying to justify it because we feel we need to give the right answer, or often sometimes you don't even realize it yourself. So if I'm shopping for this latest new luxury bag that I want to buy, I'm buying it because it gives me some kind of a feeling. But then I need to justify in my head, or maybe I want to justify to my husband, if sounds why I'm buying it. I'll be talking about the craftsmanship, it's handmade, or the lovely colors, or whatever else it does. But the real reason I bought it, which we're missing in that list, is something that I felt about it and how it makes me feel. And that's why this is just so important and why building that brand is so important. And it is also supported further by science. This is the Fogg behavior model, which shows that there are 3 key elements you need to drive action on your store. So you have motivation, ability, and trigger. Motivation is all about the heart. It's all about the relationship, helping people that desire. Do they feel the desire to take an action at that moment? And that's where you've got that, fear versus and anticipation. Do they feel belonging and acceptance? Different types of desires that you could be fulfilling. Then there's ability, how easy it is to do something on your website. Are you leading them through the customer journey? If I come, is it easy to fill my email address to join your email list? From your homepage to get to the product pages? How easy is that? Or is that too difficult? Or there's weird pop-ups coming in between and I can't read things, or I don't have all the right information I need. And a trigger is something that drives me to take action now. And this is where we see all those pop-ups or the sales or the scarcity actions happening to drive people to take action at this moment. And what I've often seen with a lot of people I've worked is that people can have a reasonably decent website where the ability is okay, the triggers are there, but they're really strong on motivation. They've really honed into their customers and what they want and helping them with the desire. They tend to do better than the ones where the ability, say the ability and triggers, you've really built this fantastic website, checking off every CRO conversion rate optimization rule, but you just haven't honed in on the desires of your customer. And that's where people get into the loops where they are stuck and sometimes driving all the traffic, but not seeing the results. So question for you again, drop your answer in the chat. Which of these 3 elements do you struggle with the most? So I'm just going to go back. So motivation, ability, trigger, or more. If it's multiple, you can say that as well. Which one do you feel you struggle with the most? Oh, you've got them all down. Okay, triggers. So it's really, you feel a lot of people is triggers about helping people take action now.
Yeah, I'm happy, I think, in some way to see that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go on.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, I'm happy to see that. Like motivation, is not that common as a.
Well, that's what I wanted to just add. So if I see triggers now, I've had a lot of people who I work with where often people say that they think it's trigger. And sometimes I've noticed that you think it's trigger because you think you're getting people to your website and they're not taking the action now. So you think it's the trigger. But sometimes it's actually the motivation, because if you don't have that desire honed in, you don't know what the value is you're offering your customer and not translated to the right messaging, that actually supports somebody, it supports the trigger. Not the triggers don't always have to be on discounts or scarcity and those things. Yeah, I'll just summarize that. So just remember that sometimes I've very often seen that trigger is what people think. And often if you actually work on that motivation, you can really drive people to take more action. So just a quick summary again of the 3. So you have the motivation. That's all about the desire. Have you honed into the desire that somebody needs to take an action on your website? So what is it fulfilling for them? What is that product actually delivering to them, the benefits and the value? And I'm going to be helping you all with that today. The ability, which is how easy is it to navigate your store, your website, to take any of the steps from filling up forms to going through a checkout. The trigger is how much are you able to, drive somebody to take action right now at this moment. Those were the 3. Okay. And so this is all about nailing your positioning. I don't know how many of you listened to the podcast of Unofficial Shopify podcast by Kurt Elster and Paul Reda. And in a really recent one, he was actually talking about the 3 different levels of revenue. Now, nailing your positioning is really important at all levels to keep revisiting and making sure you're on point with knowing your customer. But for a lot of businesses who haven't reached, say, the 100K revenue range, often it is because, like what he said, is all the apps tactics are nonsense until you nail that cornerstone of positioning. Who's buying it and why? It's again when you could be taking all the right actions and just not seeing the results to really know who your customer is and why they should be buying it. So is this the same for products and services, Nicola? Which part are you talking about? The 3, is that with the motivation, trigger, and ability? If that's the case, then yes. Yeah, so that is something that drives people to action in general for any kind of a website, or actually kind of in behavior in general. So yes, that is something that should work for other websites as well. And you can look it up. It's called the FOG behavior model, FOGG. So how do you build an irresistible e-commerce brand? We start by laying a strong foundation with the 4 building blocks. And this is what I'm going to walk you through. So building block number 1, your why. Uncover your story. Okay, why is this? Well, a common belief I have is that a myth is, well, I'm a bit controversial here probably, is that you need to start with why. The truth is that just starting with why is not enough. The concept is great, but in translation, I've seen that a lot of business owners get stuck on 2 things. When they talk about their why, they get into really general reasons. I started this, a lot of e-commerce business I've worked with, I want to empower women. I want to empower the customers who are buying it, the artisans behind it. I want to have a sustainable concept and help them, for example, the environment. These are a lot of common reasons I've heard, and that you start really general. But I always say, if your concept is about doing good you can also do through charity. You can do good if you want to support artisans in different worlds. There's different ways to do that. You can also be a linking pin between businesses and artisans. But you've chosen to do this business, this online, these products, this online store. The second one is rational reasons. I've had a lot of people where they say, well, I wanted to start my own business. So I wanted to look at something that was easy to do, small, easy to send, fits a certain budget, is under X amount per purchase, for example, and it was easy for me to source. Again, well, then you can just sell pens, pencils, or notepads. But let's be honest, again, you've chosen these things for a reason. The kind of products that you've chosen for a particular reason, to do it and do it as such as an online business. And that's what I want you. So it's about going deeper into your why. So I want you ask yourself, but why? Dig deeper and ask yourself, why did I really start this business selling these products through an online store? Because behind every small business, there is a story worth knowing. And the most common thing, again, I get to hear, well, but I don't have anything that special. My life is quite mundane. Or, well, it's just a normal family life. I have kids, I have this, I have that. There's nothing special. But when you dig deeper and actually figure out the stories that led you to where you are, everybody has a story related to this particular business. You don't have to tell the story of your life. You don't have to tell everything about your family and things. It's not about getting personal down to that level. It's about finding that story related to this business. And I'm going to be showing you 2 different examples at the end of these kind of stories and how we got there. So the solution is to identify the right why. So yes, start with why, but go deeper into it and really make that personal story and figure out your story behind your business. And this leads you to ensure your business is, one, in alignment with you and what you truly want from your business in life. And like I showed, it's a really important aspect of building that irresistible e-commerce brand. It will help you stand out from the crowd because your story is never, ever going to be the same as somebody else's, right? So, and people will not have exactly the same story as you, but they will relate to certain aspects of your story, or there's going to be something they're going to admire about it. And that all together is going to help you build deep customer relationships. Share that story behind your business. Talk about it. So your why is the mission, purpose, or reason for the existence of your business and brand. And then you have the second part, which is the vision, which is what describes what the business aims for in the future. So that is about your why. So uncover your story. And this is something I can't say enough. Always remember that people buy from people. So especially in that $5 trillion market, if you want to really distinguish yourself and stand out from that crowd, tell your story. So the second building block is your customer. And this is all about discovering the needs, wants, and desires of your customer. The common belief we have here is the common myth: you're your own customer and you need to know all the details about your customers. Okay, so the truth, and I'm going to say this with all the love, but you are not your ideal customer. It's one of the biggest things I have to help people overcome. And in this one case, the magic's not in all the details. And what I mean with this, so there are 3 really common convictions. I'm my customer, there must be more of me, right? Does this sound familiar to any of you? I'm my customer, there must be more of me, right? This is something I've heard, literal quotes from people I've worked with. And this is what I'm going to say. You can start your business with something that you've seen. You can start your business with a problem you encountered, some desire, something that was not being fulfilled for you. And that's a great place to start. So that part is definitely not wrong. It's a great place to start. But as you're trying to grow your business, it is really important to start looking at who your customer is. Because like I said, your story is never going to be the same as somebody else's. So don't ever expect those people who are coming to buy from you to be exactly the same. It's so important to get to know them. And on the other hand, what I sell is for everyone that has an interest in. No, you are not for everyone. You are not going to be able to differentiate yourself in this sea if you're going to try to serve everyone everything, because you're going to be your messaging is going to be reaching out to way different people. You're going to be trying to serve people with, you're always going to try to figure out what products you need to be selling. And you're just trying to be everything to everyone. And that's not going to work in that trillion-dollar market that we've been seeing. And I need to know every single thing about my customer, what they're watching on Netflix, what they're eating, what they're reading, what they're cooking today. No, you don't. I can't say this enough, because I've seen this so much happening online right now. Doing these kind of posts, knowing this about your customer is great for engagement posts. It's great to start a conversation on social media in the emails you sent out. It's great to start a conversation, but it doesn't bring them to your store. And it is absolutely great to know some of this information for more practical things, like when you are trying to find targeting on Facebook, what kind of Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising you need to reach targets. But really, to drive your customer to purchase, to do from you, this is what we're going to be doing. You're going to figure out, does somebody want to say something? I think somebody's on unmute. Just want to check. Okay. So what do they want that they don't even realize themselves yet? And this is what you have to figure out. And like we said, 95% of customers' purchases are subconscious. People find it really hard to voice sometimes what they're really, really looking for. They're not able to give it. And that's where it's your job to figure that out. So you want to discover your customers' motivations, their needs, wants, and desires. It's the desired end state they're looking for. I'm going a little more into this. It will lead to attracting a loyal and engaged customer base. It will get you out of that rat race where you're trying to constantly compete with everyone for the exact same customer base. And you'll make better use of every dollar, euro you're spending, because you'll be really focused on just that particular audience instead of trying to be everything to everyone. So what I mean with that desired end state, so you have the customer desire insight. So when you're looking at your customer niche, I want you to you have the overall segment you're targeting, you have your ideal customer, so that one person that you're really looking for, and then zoom in within that on the insight. What are they trying to achieve? The desired end state. It's not the solution, it's how they envision the situation to be. So I'm going to give you a really rough personal example myself. Over the last year, COVID, pandemic, lockdowns, I have my own business. I'm working from home all the time anyways. But now this last 1 year, I've had everyone at home all the time. My husband, my kids, it has been crazy. And so all I've been craving for is having my own space to be myself, to do what I want, when I want. And that is kind of the motivation and desire that I have. And last week the kids were on holiday. They went over to family. My husband actually went into work for 1 day, and it was absolute heaven to have that space. So what I want is that space for myself. That's kind of the desire. But given the current situations, it is absolutely hard, which is a dilemma to do that. So if you know that about your customer, then you can look at what it is that they're looking for and how you can solve that with the products that you offer. So again, all this will be coming back in examples at the end, where we'll really bring this, I'll show you how it comes to life. So, and a way I do this is we use a technique called story probing, which is a special way of questioning that I use to combining the power of psychology and stories to go deep and truly understand what your customer does, thinks, and feels, and not just says. Now, story probing is where instead of just doing general open questions, I actually ask people for stories. And it's the same thing I use to dig deeper into your why. Because when you ask people for stories and you ask them what has really to tell a story about certain things, they will choose a moment and things that have been stuck in their mind, and they will tell you about that and the feelings associated with it. And then it's your job to be able to dig deeper into that and understand what was really going on at that moment behind it. So one way to do this is therefore always go speak to your customers. I always say nothing beats getting on the phone with your customer and really talking to them. It's something I know some people try to avoid, but I can't say that enough. You have to speak to your customer. And then you can supplement that with, things like your reviews, testimonials on your website that give a lot of information. Reviews on competitor websites, it gives a lot of information as well about what people are finding in other places or what they're complaining about there. Amazon is a great place to look at. Find those 1-2 star reviews on products that you would see that could be alternatives to what you do. Again, that gives a lot of information. Comments on your social media, replies to your emails. If you're advertising and testing different messaging and creatives, which ones are people responding to? All those things are great supporting things to be able to get to know your customer better, what they are listening to and what they want. So that's the first 2 building blocks. Is this all good for everyone so far? Any questions so far for anyone before we continue? Just a quick check.
We had Chris given an example of his why.
Okay, to put a smile on every customer's face through my designs. And Chris, that's beautiful about putting a smile on everyone's customer face. Really nice. And that self-esteem. I am going to challenge you a little bit here. And I think when we get to the next building blocks, you will see why. Through your designs and through your messaging, what you're doing is you're already taking it to the next level, which is the value where we're getting into now. So I think you have an opportunity to make that even more concise. I think you have something there, definitely, but you have an opportunity to make it a little more concise. With the designs and the messaging, you're already coming to the solution, which is the value that you're offering. And that comes under the value proposition, what we're working on now. So I think you have an opportunity to actually just separate the two. And we can talk about that a little more at the end if you want. Sorry, something is, yeah, I just lost my scroll, but so I think just a quick question I see, what was the second building block? The second building block was your customer, understanding who your customer is, what their motivations, their needs, wants, and desires are. So now we are on the third building block. This is the value that we are offering. And in this one, we're going to do a breakout session. So I'm going to go a little deeper here and give you an actual tool. Liliana, the story probing is more like proving your products on the customer with the reviews. No, story probing is actually, you're not necessarily talking about your products. You're going to be understanding your customer. What I'm going to do is at the end, when I show you the examples, I will throw in an example on what a story probing question is so that you can actually see what I mean and how we've used that as well. Yeah, so then it will make that a little more clear for you. So we are on building block number 3, which is all about the value. So the common belief is I need to keep talking about my product for people to buy it. I'm going to be really harsh, and your customers don't care about the products you sell. Yes, the quality matters. Yes, what they're getting in their hand matters. And at the end, that's what they're getting physically. But it's so much more than that. I mean, just think about the really big global brands that we know. Coca-Cola, one of the worst things it can be for your health, right? Just think about the ingredients. Everybody knows that. But look at their advertising. Look what they talk about. It's all about happiness. It's all about celebration. It's all about that. Starbucks, it's all about coming together, creating a third place in people's lives. It's all about the community feel and a place for bring people together. And the latte macchiatos and all those funky names and things are just it's what adds to that experience and what brings people in. Lululemon's at one point was all about, I mean, they've all become a lot more mass, but Lululemon's, the yoga lifestyle athleisure brand, was initially really focused on just yoga and creating more a healthy way of living for people who are yoga enthusiasts. So we're really going to hone in on to what the value is now that you offer, because you know what your why is, what you love doing, you know what and what you're trying to, you know, your mission for your customers. You know what the customer wants, what their desires are. Now we're going to solve this for them. So the two reasons I often see the business focus on is either the features, you're focusing on how the best quality or how something is made, what the ingredients of something is, and this is something, and why therefore this is better than what others are doing. Or the other one is price. As again, something you're really trying to convince people why something is worth the price you're asking. And this is where we want to take away the conversation from. Now they each have a role in it, but that's what we'll see. So I want you to remember that you're selling a lifestyle, an experience, through your product, just like the examples I gave you, through the Starbucks coffee and the tea. But it's a lifestyle that people are buying into. It's not necessarily the best coffee. There are people who will argue with you on that. So it's really about that lifestyle that you're creating and the experience you're giving somebody through your product. So I want you to answer the question, why should I buy from you? So I see a quick question from Chris. How do you avoid the trap of over-explaining your brand and what it means? My brand means goddess and focus on royal African designs and fabrics, but struggle on conveying that. Well, we're getting to that. So we're going to do a breakout session on this, I think, and it'll be really good to you can use this as an example in one of the groups you're in, and then we can talk about it at the end in the question rounds again a little more. So I want you to focus on the solution. So people don't want to, this is a really famous quote, people don't want a quarter-inch drill, they want a quarter-inch hole. So a lot of people are always trying to sell that drill, that product, right? And this is what I said, you're focused too much on talking about your product, whereas what you want to do is make that hole in the wall so you can hang something up. That's the solution. That's the problem you're solving or the desire you're fulfilling. I love using the word desire for lifestyle businesses because we're not always solving a technical problem. And that's where I want you to start looking at. What are you really offering with that product of yours? So present them with the value or benefit you offer them. And that means, which leads to, you're going to shift the discussion from price to perceived value or benefits. You're going to increase engagement because people are going to say, hey, this is for me, and attract higher quality customer leads because of that. So the value or the value proposition, as people know it, is a promise of value to be delivered. It is the main reason a prospect, that ideal customer should buy from you and not from your competitor. Think again what I talked about right in the beginning, product market fit. And this is where we're getting into that. It explains how your product solves something, improves situations, fulfills a desire, basically how it adds value. What specific benefits customers can expect and why customers should buy from you over your competitors. And it consists of the following 5 elements. You've got simply put, your product, what you sell. We have the benefits, and this is where I'm going to be focusing on a little more, the benefits you deliver, and your reasons to believe or sub-benefits. So this is something what is a proof point for your benefits or further supports it. Who you target, your customer, which we already treated as a complete separate building block, and what makes you unique, what is your key differentiation. And then we summarize it into one simple sentence. I help, and help can be any verb, by the way. I empower, I help, I enable. You can use anything you want there. Whom to achieve by doing what? And this is literally plugging in from those 5 elements that we just talked about. And achieve is really about taking the benefits to the next level. And so what are your benefits? This is a question I think a lot of people may be thinking right now. So we have the product features, are your actual traits and attributes, characteristics of what you're offering, how it looks, the components, the capabilities. The benefits is the value that customers realize from a product or service. This is something that satisfies their needs, desires, and wants. It's how it makes them feel. And do they feel like I can actually achieve X by using this product? So, and this is when there are 4 types of benefits. So you have your ideal customer, niche, and insight, what we worked on. You've got then your product features, there's actual attributes of what you're doing. And then you've got the 4 types of benefits. You have the functional benefit. What do I literally get? What does that product do and what do I get? The emotional, how does it make me feel? Transformational, how does it change my life? And societal, how does it impact society? A really rough example using sneakers. These are, I think, Nike sneakers, but you could put any sneakers in here. The insight would be that, roughly speaking, everybody has a desire for greatness and wants to achieve great things. You want to feel like those athletes out there. The product features is that this was, these are shoes with soles are very lightweight. So what does that do? What does that mean? So you can either focus your discussion, guess I have my, this is different, these sneakers, because they're so lightweight. But what does that mean for your customers? So what? Well, on a functional level, what does it do? What do I get? It is super comfortable. It makes running easier, and I can run faster. So it helps me with speed. How does it make me feel? Well, because they're so comfortable and so easy to run in, I feel so motivated to go running, something I didn't feel like doing before. And I feel like actually like a winner, like I can do this. I actually feel like I can actually achieve this. On a transformational level in my life, I become healthier and feel more energized. If you're focusing, for example, in on moms, if that's your niche, you can even talk about how they feel more energized to spend time with their kids. That's where the niche is really important to understand that. And then you have the societal benefits, is promoting well-being for everyone, ensuring that everyone can win. Now, as a small business owner, I always say at least try to make sure you get to an emotional level. If you cannot do all, that's fine. You can always build on that as you go. Nothing needs to be perfect. But at least by going to an emotional level, you are already taking the discussion away from pure features and products and what I'm getting and what the product does to how it makes me feel. Is this part clear for everyone? Before I continue, because I want to do a breakout session on this. Any questions on these benefits? And do you understand the functional, emotional, transformational, societal benefits? Cool, so some very clear. So quick recap then. So you have this one, the functional benefits, what do I get? Emotional, how does it make me feel? Transformational, how does it change my life? And societal, how does it impact society? Like I said, at least try to get to an emotional level. Don't worry in one go that you need to get everything. That's fine. We should never aim for the perfection. Oh, sorry, I'll slow down a little bit, Liliana. So what do I get? How does it make me feel? How does it change my life? And how does it impact society? And one thing we've seen is that companies that perform well on multiple elements of value have more loyal customers than the rest. So if you can fulfill more levels towards your customer, there's a greater chance of building loyalty with your customers. But again, like I said, just focus for now on the functional and emotional benefits, and then you can gradually build up to the rest. Unless you feel comfortable doing it, absolutely fine. So in this breakout session, this is what I want to do. I want you to actually discuss these emotional benefits. We'll split into small groups. I want you to discuss what you think the emotional benefit is of what you offer. So go into your groups and maybe start with one person who wants to volunteer having their brand discussed. Quick introduction of who you are, what you do, what the products is that you sell, and then discuss the functional and emotional benefits, and everybody else can give some feedback on that and go back and forth. And then we'll have a quick share when you come back into this group.
Perfect. I think now what we can do is create 4 rooms of like 4 to 5 participants in each room.
Perfect.
And then we can, you and I, we can jump in the different rooms and hear what they say. Yeah. So let's go on. I'll create the rooms. Yeah. So now you have to accept and join the breakout room.
I'm going into one too.
Perfect.
Chris?
Hi, Kara. You
Hi.
left the room. I'm gonna join one of the rooms too.
Yeah. Just one second.
Hi there.
Hi,
Hi.
James.
Hi, James.
Hi, Monica. So I joined very late. I think you're not far off finishing, right?
No, we're in breakout rooms right now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, just fine. Everybody else in a breakout room.
Yes, so I just hopped out to see if anybody else was coming to main session with questions. So yeah, and Christy has the control on that, so I can't put you in a room.
No, well, that's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. Oh, hang on. What have you done? Oh, there you go. No, that's fine. Because I head up this little team with Kiara and Chris.
Yes, you mentioned that you may be joining later.
Okay. There you are. How did it go? How's it going?
I think good. I hope so.
Right. I see. So Kiara's in my team, but and Chris has come back. I don't recognize Ajaika. Ajaika, who's here?
Hi. I saw we had new people joining. Hi, James.
Oh,
And hi, Ajay.
nothing important.
Should we just take, Chris, 2 more minutes and then we can come back?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
There was one of the breakout rooms that was not discussing. Hi, Ajay. Because I think, well, they just disconnected, but on the other one, there was a lot of action going on.
Okay, yeah, there was one I was in as well. We were also talking with some really great ideas.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, let's give 2 more minutes and then I close them. Okay.
Yeah. Can I jump into another room?
Yeah, you can, right? You're a co-host, you can choose it. If you go to breakout rooms.
It says join break. It only shows me the same breakout room.
Okay, I can assign you. Where do you want to go? To a new one?
Yeah, so not number 2, put me in any other.
Okay, I'll put you in number 3.
Yeah.
There.
So, there's Jaika.
Hi, Jaika. How are you? I think we can't hear you. You have to unmute. Wait, there you go.
Welcome back, everyone. I think we've been having some great discussions. Is everyone back in the, Christy, can you see that?
Not everyone. They're coming bit by bit. Yeah, like 7 more people coming back.
I'll go back to the presentation as well.
So yeah, you can continue.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to quickly go back to this once. So there's some great discussions going on. I just want to remind everyone, remember that the benefit is kind of the so what of your product, of your feature. So I think we had in the last group, I was just discussing about was olive oil, and it was all about that it's natural and it's organic. Natural and organic is a feature. It describes your product, right? So what is the so what of that? What does that do? That makes us healthier. That's the functional benefit. So always remember that a benefit is the so what of it, and then the emotions is the feelings from it. So if you're healthy, if you're healthier, that's how what I get from it. It can make me feel, like I said, some examples I gave, it can make you feel more energized to do things in life. Not that you're like crashing at the end of the day. We were talking about, if it's olive oil, about, I think one example Nicola gave was like, hey, maybe it reminds people of their travels of different countries that they're in and the food that they eat there. That could be another direction. And that's really important to understand your customer. That's why I always say from your customer you start, because depending on the niche you're targeting, you have to focus in on the right benefits. Is that clear for everyone?
What about the social impact of maybe olive oil? It's contributing to social economy in farmer and something like that. Where we can put it in emotional?
So the societal you have, how it impacts society, the top one.
And ecological impact, we put it in emotional also?
So ecological impact, those are kind of more functional benefits again. So, but if it's like the well-being of society, because it promotes the well-being for farmers, it gives them livelihoods and things that are more societal. But if you're looking at ecological, I would put that more under something like a functional. What does it do?
Thank you.
Think there's an example from Chris. Let me see. You have the functional benefit, the customer gets a handbag and a friend. Transformational, the messaging of hope, Royal African fabric and designs give the customer a higher sense of self-esteem and worth. Emotional, puts a smile on the customer's face through the designs, changes the perception of made in Africa products, empowers those using my brand. Okay, cool. So I'm just reading in the right order. 1 second. So you have the functional, the customer gets a handbag and a friend, an animal. What do you mean with that part? I wasn't too sure. But for example, puts a smile on the customer's face through the designs. Puts a smile on the face is it's kind of an action. So what's the feeling behind that? The feeling is joy and happiness, right? So always take it to the feeling behind it on an emotional level. And okay, you make animal handbags. Okay, perfect. So a customer gets a handbag and so it's a friend. Yep. So I mean, but the handbag is again your product. The function benefit, what does that handbag do for them? So I mean, I don't know, it's easier to, you know, it could be a fashion statement, it could be easier to carry things. It does something. What's the so what of your handbag? And then the puts a smile, translate that to the feeling. So it's more about joy and happiness. Transformation, the messaging of hope, Royal African fabric and designs give the customers so a higher sense of self-esteem and worth. That is the transformational benefit. The hope in Royal African fabric and designs, you know, that's again product features. Yep. So I'm going to be running you through two examples at the end.
Yeah, wait, I'll silence this. Yeah, let's go. Sorry.
I would probably go, I would still take it, the question is, what does the fashion statement do for them? So I take it to one level further. I'm going to take you to two examples, one which is about home accessories and gifts. Another one is about luxury jewelry at the end. It's going to bring this a bit more to life and think you give all of you some more examples on how it translates for you. But I think the important aspect always is, you know, here I'm quickly giving you some tools so you can take this. But remember that by understanding who your customer is, if you know what their desires and motivations are, this exercise actually becomes quite simple then, because now we're going to guess and take certain directions. I just wanted to give you this as a starting point so you start thinking differently when you go back to your business. But having those conversations with your customer, understanding them, and then doing this exercise is super important, and you'll know what direction to take. And a lot of times it will come back from there through those conversations. It will make this so much easier. So I'm going to continue, and then we're going to open up at the end again for questions for sure. So let me continue to make sure we have enough time for that. So we have been through building block 1, your why. We know, so you're making sure it's in alignment. You were super clear in your story behind your business. We've done building block 2, your customer. You know who they are, what their motivations are, their needs and wants and desires. We know now the value and the benefit you offer. Great. So now where's the product? Well, that's what we're going to get to now. Building block 4 is your offer or product, where you're going to align your product now. Because at the end, you're delivering all of that through a product. At the end, what people still get sent home, what they see on your store, on your website is the product. What they get sent home, what they get in their hands is your product. So that's what we're bringing it back to now. So the common belief is that, you know, customers tell me what they like and don't, and where for what to sell. But your customers cannot tell you the full solution, even if they think so themselves. Remember, again, we said a lot of purchases are subconscious. So, and they can tell you the desire, you can figure out the desired end state. What is the desire that they want in their life? And then you say, okay, this is how my product delivers on that. Yes, you can ask your customer questions about designs and see what they respond to. That's always fine. But in actually saying, what does your product deliver on is something you really have to figure out through those conversations. And a few convictions that I always find is, I only sell what I like. You know, that's, again, like I said before, it's a great starting point, but you're going to have to find the balance between what you like. That's why that, and what your customers really want to buy as well. So you can't only say, I'm going to sell only what I like. You can keep that as, you know, a trait. I'm not going to sell something I don't like. So you're going to find something your customers like and make sure that you like it too. That is fine, but you cannot only sell something you like. It has to be something your customer wants to buy. My offer is too expensive, and then I see a lot of people trying to think if I need to reduce prices. Well, if you take that discussion from your product away back to that value that we were discussing, that's when you take it away from the whole price discussion. And I've also seen a lot of people say, I need to add more smaller value products to either bring people in or upsells. I've seen some of clients do this, is they're selling higher priced products. You're selling luxury over $100. Let me just use that as an example. Then suddenly $100 or even $200 kind of products. Then they say, but I'm not getting people in. The standard advice is bring in smaller priced products so that you can upsell or you can bring people in. And suddenly they're adding in $20 products. Now $20 versus $200, you're getting in a complete different customer who's looking for complete different things. Now, is bringing in lower priced products an issue? No, but do that in relation to the product you're offering. So a lower pricing would be $80 versus $200. So always do everything relative to where you are positioning yourself in the market. And that's something really important to remember. So I want you to ask yourself, how can I best fulfill my customers' desires with the products that I offer? So customers don't always know what they want, and that's where you need to read between the lines when you're speaking to them, and you need to solve that for them. So the solution is to listen and observe to your customers for their needs, wants, and desires, and define how to fulfill that with your product. It leads to ensure your offer is aligned to your why, who your customers, and why they're buying from you. We only create, produce, sell what your customers want, and we focus on an offer that delivers the value promised versus trying to define the value of what you're offering. And this is the kind of a cycle that a lot of people fall in. Okay, well, now we have created all these products. Now we need to define the value. And sometimes and now if you start working the other way around, you will always have the value in mind first and say, okay, so this is the next kind of product and what's the right thing to offer. And what I use here a lot is called the consumption occasions or moments. And this is something also that sets you up for growth. So they are the needs you have at a particular point in time. It contributes to the decision about what to consume, use, or buy. So you've got the 5 W's I often use, the what, when, why, where, of what you buy. And if you are now creating a portfolio that delivers, you find what are the key consumption occasions. So we're talking about bags in the chat. So if you have a chat, bags can be used for work purposes. It can be used for leisure. It can be used a day out or can be done for a holiday. So here you figure out at which kind of consumption occasions or moments, and it's going to help you. Some bags can cross that, but maybe you're going to be focusing in niching down even further to a certain moment. Maybe your bags are only for work, just to give you an example as a starting point. So this also is going to hone into your messaging again. So remember, you've got who your customer is, what the value is offering, and for what particular moment. And it will also help you decide what you're producing, what you're creating, what you're designing. And this is something easy to set you up for growth, because for now, if you're only focusing on the work time, in the future you can say, well, I want to stick with the same customer but different moments. Let me also go to the leisure moment. Or in the future you say, well, I want to stick with the work moment but with a different niche. So this is something that's going to allow you to take your product and grow with that, and look where you want, for what kind of different moments you're catering with your product. And it's going to be much easier to create a portfolio for that as well. And so about Ruba, about the pricing, and the question in the chat, I'm seeing a question about secure corporate offers. So I'm not talking about corporate offers. I'm really talking about when you're selling directly to your consumer. When you're doing corporate offers or wholesale, that's a completely different discussion. And what I also said is adding lower priced offers. Yes, but don't go so low that it doesn't make sense in relation to the normal pricing that you're offering. So I'm not saying don't add lower pricing. I make sure it makes sense relative to the price you offer. So if you're going to be offering products in the $200 range, you're adding something of $20, it doesn't make sense. If you are at the $75, $80 range, you add something of $20, it makes sense. But if you're at the 200, you may want to be a little more at the 80s. For example, I'm just giving rough examples. You need to find what's right for your market. Well, I mean, in terms of B2C and B2B, what you'll see is in terms of all the work we're doing now, it's going to be in terms of pricing, yes, there's going to be a difference, of course. But in terms of the work we're doing now, understanding who your customer is, you got to still understand who your customer is, even if you're going B2B. If you're doing wholesale, it's still about, the end customer that through those retail stores that people are delivering. It's also knowing your value is going to all help in your messaging. So it's going to help you also this work will also help you for that. But when it gets to things like managing your inventory and pricing, of course, there is going to be a difference between the two. So when we bring all these four together, we have the full Irresistible brand framework, the e-commerce brand. So in the beginning, I showed you the product business 180, and we were in that orange one about laying that strong foundation, nailing your positioning, and really creating that strong brand, which comes together into this 4 building blocks: your why, the customers, the value you're offering, and aligning your product to it. And that together creates your Irresistible e-commerce brand framework. And then what I want to make really, really clear for you is what it isn't and is. So your Irresistible brand, it's not your messaging. It's not the content ads or brand. That is how you communicate or present yourself, your Irresistible brand, to your potential customers. The work we've done now is it is kind of one your customers want to say hell yes to. It allows you to stand out from the crowd and attract your audience. It's the experience you're creating. It's that unique identification that you're creating of your brand, and that you then translate to the right messaging, content, ads, brand, and design. So that's an important difference to remember. And a lot of times I see people tweaking their messaging without having worked through those kind of 4 building blocks that we just did. And then you fall into that vicious cycle. So it is the North Star of your business. It creates a clear brand direction. Once you have this, you can translate it to messaging, your identity. You can choose what channels you want to be on, what not to be on, kind of partners you want to work with, content you're putting out, the strategy you're using, and even the pricing, depending on the market you are in. So I'm going to show you now 2 examples, put it into actual action for you. And so you can see, of course, there's a lot more detail behind all of this. It's been really there's a lot more detail behind the work we've done, but I'm going to try and show you the key parts to do it. So I'm just quickly doing a check if there are any questions before I continue from here.
There is a question from Chris. She's asking if before the example she just shared.
How do you cater for 2 customer segments? For example, handbags, those who use it for special occasions, and those who use it for days. Now the question is, are you saying so you have different occasions, but it could be the same kind of customer using it? And I think that comes on how you're positioning and putting your messaging on your website. But if it is, if you're using people who are using special occasions and you have people who are using for the day, but is it the same handbag? Then it's kind of how people choose to use it. It can be the same customer using it either for night or day, then it's absolutely, I mean, there's no issue. That's for you to figure out what the occasions are, and then maybe you don't need to split up your occasions so much. This is just an example of how you can actually split it up. But it will help in your messaging, just think about it. Once you've delivered the value, this is a bag that one of the functional benefits of your bags could be that it is very versatile. It's for night and day. Right. And that's actually, you're going to love the luxury example, the jewelry example I'm going to show you, because that brings that back into it. So one of the benefits for you is actually that it's a very versatile bag. And if it's the same customer, especially, but if you have 2 sets of different customer niches and they're both each using it for different reasons, then you're going to really have to actually tackle the 2 different niches separately and the benefits you're offering them separately. So you would do that exercise twice. It's as simple as that. Let me continue the examples. I think is going to answer a lot of these questions I'm seeing coming. So meet Vanessa, founder of Luxurious Jewelry in the UK. She sells made-to-order beautiful bold statement jewelry made by independent female designers, and they are all made to order. Again, so because she was, again, she didn't want to do mass production. She wanted to make sure that things were not wasted. So once people ordered, there is like a 2-week time before people get their products. So there's no instant gratification here. And she was really struggling with growing her business, despite feeling like she was doing all the right things, advertising, generating traffic, building her list. She was posting on social media. And jewelry was something really dear to her because it created it was linking her to her mom and her grandmother. Her grandmother was really had some link with the first diamond kind of factories that were there in the old times, and she lost her mom also quite early. So for her, jewelry was something really that linked her to them. But she was considering to shut down. She was 3 years in business and not earning more than £2,000 per year. This is quite an extreme example, but it's actually true. Despite spending on Facebook ads, building her list, giving discounts, and being visible everywhere on social media. So she did all the right things. She took all the right steps. She was getting traffic. She was getting the right amount of traffic to her website, but things were just not working and converting. So we really worked through those 4 building blocks with her. When I asked why she started this business, I want to give women something special and support other women in the process. Now, as you can see, this is something this is a very general why. This doesn't really tell me why she's doing it. This can be absolutely anything. The one thing I said to her, if you want to really empower women and support women, why have you chosen to do it the hard way with this business? You could have gone, go work with women, go work in an NGO, go support them, there's so many different ways to do it, but you chose this. And that's the story I want to hear. So we dug deeper into this story. I asked her why, and this was this beautiful story that came out from Spain. So apart from the strong link to her mom and grandmother, she reminded me of this time when she used to live in Spain, and there was a friend of hers, and the friend was in her 70s, and she was wearing something, and Vanessa was like to her, "This is beautiful. I love what you're wearing." And her friend said, "But this is nothing new. You've seen me wear this before. You've actually seen me wear this before. I'm just wearing this piece of jewelry with another dress." And that was it. And that story, when she told me this story, this is when we got stuck. And by the way, this is a really good example of story probing. So I just asked her a question I used there was, what is a moment just tell me a moment, a couple of moments about jewelry that really stuck with you. And that's when a couple of these stories came out, and this one in particular. And what you see is what she then said to me was, "Oh my God, I want to give people that choice for feeling good with just that one piece, no matter what outfit they wear." That's her why behind her business. So when we worked through those building blocks, it was empowering women to feel good about themselves through that story, which she talked about feeling good about themselves, because so that they can actually feel good with that just one piece, no matter which outfit they wear. So I've summarized the things over here. And the what was, this is through how she's decided to bring it to life. The online boutique for statement jewelry made by women for women who buy for women. So that really states what she wants to be. And her customer, through we actually did a lot of customer interviews, a lot of story probing. I actually call them meaningful customer conversations. So it was a 35+ woman with high disposable income who's going through life-changing moments to feel confident and is ready to indulge and be herself. So one thing with Vanessa is that she was one of the classic cases of I am my ideal customer, and who we found it really hard to go and pick up the phone and was actually afraid to do those conversations for the critique that she would get. That's what she expected, and that's what she's worried about. What she realized is, yes, there was the same taste in jewelry. There was something that people were looking for, which she was too, and why she started this business. But the people that she was reaching out to and that she reached and were actually buying for were going through life-changing moments. Somebody going through a divorce, somebody having older kids moving out of the house, somebody else was going through a change in job. And that was nothing like who she was, what she was going through. And her life in that sense was, a lack of better words, stable at that moment. And they just wanted to forget what was going on in their lives at this moment and just feel confident and feel good about themselves. And they were just ready to let go and ready to indulge and be themselves. So after the work we did, we came down to the different benefits and things. And we said, okay, so it was all about enabling the 35+ woman going through life-changing moments to feel confident within themselves by selling bold statement jewelry that are versatile, made to order, and made by independent female designers. So the versatility, made to order, independent female designers, the versatility was really what came out as a functional benefit. Made to order independent female designers was a key differentiation that she had, because none of the other jewelry brands were doing that. And the feeling confident was really about that emotional benefit. And it's also how you translate that confidence. In the work we do, we also translate what does that mean, was really about indulging themselves and having fun. And if you look at her Instagram feed, she's the kind who, she's not giving people tips on how to be confident. She doesn't do that. But she's got all these funny quotes that she's posting all the time. Whereas everybody's talking about how yoga makes them feel great about themselves, she's talking about how it's the 6th time in a row. Oh my God, that she forgot to do yoga again, and it's been 6 years. It's a lot of funny different quotes that make people laugh. So for her, it's about indulgence and confidence in terms of being yourself and just being able to laugh and have some fun. And that's how she translates it. And the products, what we did is, as in terms of the occasions you'll see come back, it was something for when you need something a little more than just lipstick, for that daily wear. You want to feel good about yourself, but lipstick won't cut it. That's the daily wear. And something for when you really just want to shine, for that occasion wear, for the moments when you want to go out. But at the same time, those products were something they could easily carry through from day to night. And it was therefore also pretty versatile and wear with different outfits. And a key result from her is that she actually made 10,000 pounds, despite she was really thinking of shutting down in the middle of the pandemic. And she has really grown her business further since then. But she took 6 months to implement the work we did. So there's no overnight success. This is not like I'm going to do this and the next day I'm going to grow. 6 months gradually implementing it across her social media, across her website, changing some of her messaging, changing some of her advertising. She actually started shutting down some of her Facebook ads and redid some of them. And the biggest thing she said was it created a mindset shift. She's like, I can't believe that those customers, I'm actually not my own customer. Some of those customers she spoke to in the interviews actually became lifelong loyal customers because they were so impressed with how much she cared and taking the time to understand them. But for her, it was a mindset shift. She's like, became like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I finally got so excited and motivated and fell in love with my business again. And she's only continued to grow since then and got a lot of great collaborations for people who recognize what she's doing now. So that's one example. And I think hopefully that should be able to relate to some of you, especially when we were talking with Chris about your handbags, that it will actually help you see how to use that. Now meet Tina. Tina, this is a very different example, and she's got a wide range of products, not just one or two, not just, she's got a lot more. So she's a founder of Fair Tribe in the USA. She sells artisan finds, fair trade home accessories and jewelry. She's going through a complete rebranding as well in her store. She started a new online store at that time and was struggling with how to best communicate the products and find her ideal customer because she felt she could go in many different directions with this. And when I asked her why she started this business, she said, well, it was combining her passion of making, which she didn't have the skill for, fair trade products, do good for the people and planet, and giving these products a modern edge. Again, pretty general, right? I mean, again, I could say that any other store could be saying this. So just a quick check, because I see now that the presentation was stopped for Chris. Is everybody else still seeing the presentation?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Just a quick check. So again, this could be pretty general. So I asked her and we dug deeper. And in her case, what was really interesting, it wasn't about this one moment that stuck out in her life. It was the different experiences in her life that came together in this business. So I love making things, but don't have a skill. She was younger. She would make, she talked about when I used this story, asked her to just tell me stories about when she was younger. And she talked about baking with her grandmother, doing pottery with her mother, but she wasn't really good at it. She enjoyed it, but she wasn't good at it, and therefore couldn't really do anything more with that. So she really had this desire of doing something with making actual products, handmade. At the same time, she lived in California. She grew up in California, where from a very young age, things like sustainability and recycling was around her. And she said, so it's about the things you don't need to buy. So you want it to be a thoughtful purchase. So the whole doing good came from that growing up phase where she was really exposed to these recycling and sustainability from an early age. And, and home accessories and gifts and decor and jewelry, it's not something you need, like she said. So it's something you want and therefore should be thoughtful. At the same time, she's like, but I'm a collector. without making my house unmanageable. It reminds me of my trip and conversation. She used to travel. She used to go backpacking with her husband before they had kids. She went to Peru. She came back with this blanket that she uses now as a tapestry on her wall. And she's like, when I look at it, I can see all the hands that made it. I can see all the conversations I had with people on that trip. It reminds me of the food I ate. So it was all about bringing those trips together and those memories from that. And as well, the thrill of when it works, sitting in one country and suddenly somebody's clicked buy on your website, and she uses Shopify, so she hears this dingo on her phone. She said, knowing that it worked and it all came together and we're connected through this technology. And she grew up in California, not far away from all the tech companies that started. And she's like, so again, it's something I saw from a very young age. So that all came together into her why, which was to use technology to connect people with travels, places, and memories through products they can appreciate and love. Very different, right? I mean, it still embodies the essence, what she talked about making and doing good and things. But at the same time, it's really about connecting people to their travel and letting people remember and smell and feel the travel places and memories in their daily life. The what was that she wants to be the online destination for beautifully, ethically made home decor and accessories. How is she translating that further? Well, she realized that one thing she had in common with her customers, what it was all about the travel places and memories, is something they talked about a lot. But these people were very socially and environmentally conscious, female shoppers. They love to travel with a unique sense of style, but they're jugglers. They have their moms, their wives, they have their careers, but they work something very, very specific came out. They work in education or activist roles. Their focus in their life, not just in personal life, but also in their work roles, was all about giving. That was a big theme in their life, and everything went to do, whether it was giving themselves something to indulge, giving something to their friends or families as gifts, or when they had these moments when they were spending time together and sharing around the table. It was the theme in their lives. It was all about giving, but in a way that it was still a conscious purchase. They wanted to support, they want to support the big box retailers. They're saying, but but it's so difficult to find it and know what to trust. So she was all about helping the conscious driven woman to create special moments, whether it was indulging for herself with the family or the moments that they were giving gifts, and meeting her where she is. So she wanted to find easier ways to shop. She went places that she can really trust, to discover and buy artisan made unique home decor and gifts which she can trust. So trust was really big, and why she's also chosen to only sell products which are fair trade certified. So that is kind of that symbol of trust. So you can see how the trust is the benefit, and the fair trade certification again is a feature of her product. So this was really about creating those special moments. And in her case, the products occasions were holiday occasion, different occasions, and they're seasonal products. And they could be, and she focused on the why for oneself, for sharing, or for gifting to each other as a gift. And in her case, she went from confused on her direction to multiple winning products that sell out quickly. She said the biggest thing that within a month of working together, she already hit her first $5,000. But what was really big was she got over 53 plus customer reviews and over 12,000 engagements and 44 comments on a Facebook post. Just because she said the customer insights, that really knowing her customer and therefore knowing what they want, made her choose the right products to sell. And because of that, she really saw that certain products were selling out quickly. And since then, she's grown about tenfold. She's going through a bit of and she's chosen now to do quite a bit of a rebranding in her store, and is working on that and trying to take her business now to the next stage. What is also interesting, I think I'll just tell you really quickly, because I know Christy is going to be in talks with them to actually see and do Get Inspired series that they may actually be coming on the Ecom Connect platform, and you'll be able to hear more from them if that works out. So something to just watch out for. So before we open for questions, I just want to know, are you ready to build your irresistible e-commerce brand? How are you feeling about this? Yes, no? How are you feeling about all of this? Yes, that's what I love to hear. Awesome. Now, I know that this is a lot of information. So, I mean, you're going to be getting the recording. Hopefully you can listen back. And, this is something I can talk hours about and really try to focus on some of the most important things. There's obviously a lot of more things that go into it. But just there's some quick resources for you if you want. the 3-pillar roadmap that we talked about right in the beginning. If you want to download it and see the whole information, you can download that here from businesswithmonica.com roadmap. For the customer, I'll just put it in the chat after this as well. If you want to get to know your customers a little better, I have a resource for getting to know them. The 4 types of questions you need to ask them. So I call that the 4 Ds. And I have one where I offer free store brand scans. I keep these limited per month because this is free. But I actually go through you, do a free 30-minute call with you to go through it. And we assess your brand on these 3 pillars. And I think also really interesting. So in April, I'm coming back on Ecom Connect. It's already under the events. And we're going to talk about this one. Bring back your audience again and again. The 7 numbers you need to take control to build a strategic plan to keep bringing your customers back. It's happening in April. It's already on Ecom Connect under the events. So you can have, so you can already plan that in and join in for the next session.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, I thought I saw a lot of enthusiasm in the chat, and we're gonna share this later, all these resources with everyone who joined the session. If you have any questions, I think there was a question there from Nicolo. If you had any other example on services, not products.
Currently, what are you looking for, Nicola? Should we unmute and maybe then let people come and ask questions?
Exactly.
Yeah, and this is my Instagram and LinkedIn handles if you want to know. But if you have any questions, I just want to add that I'm also on the Ecom Connect platform. So put questions in the forums and I can always jump in and ask beyond this presentation as well.
Hello.
Yes.
Nicola speaking. Hello.
Hello. Yes. Tell me.
No, my question was more related because I mean, a product is a tangible product, right?
Right.
You can see it, feel it, but the service, when you say, because I'm more in the consulting business, and when you sell a service, is it more about the storytelling, or do you have a good example where how do you, let's say, I suppose the methodology is the same as for a product, right?
It's absolutely the same. It is, because I've worked with service-based businesses as well, especially some of those Google partners that they were more service-based. But what the difference is, instead of product, you're looking at your service offerings. So just change the words in your mind. In terms of, product features, will be the service features. What does it include? So what are the features and of your services? What is, the functional benefits is still, what does it do? And the emotional benefits. So it doesn't actually change. If you just take out the word product and put word service, it will still help you to do the same work.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Next, let me see these questions. How do you narrow down on your why when you have so many reasons? Should your why link directly with your solution and product? Well, it usually automatically does, but you don't put your solution and product in your why. Have you seen all of them? That most of them, we narrow it down. So your why talks generally about what you're really trying to achieve and what your mission is. Your what is where you're saying how you start getting into, okay, so this is the statement I want to make, and this is where I see myself. And through the value proposition, it's the how, where you are actually bringing in your product. Does that make more sense, Chris? It just, there's so much more I can say about that, but then it will take a long time. Chris, feel free to unmute yourself if you want to ask something more. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Anybody else? Any questions?
Don't worry, Chris.
Oh, don't be shy. It's okay. It's just all of us.
It's a small group, so you have to be comfortable. Yeah, so I mean, if you have other questions, as Monica said, don't hesitate to write us on Ecom Connect, and then we can answer them. And we'll share all the resources, so don't worry, you'll have a chance to watch this again and again, because there's a lot of food for thought now. But it was great, Monica, really, thanks so much. We look forward for the second webinar in April. So also share these webinars with your network, because I mean, it's better if we reach a higher number of people, so that more people get to the opportunity to see these webinars.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think this is all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome, everyone.
Have a good day and see you soon.